We're back at it again.
Let's get the intro going. Woo! All right. Welcome back to another episode of the All Facts Podcast. I'm Sage Delsol, your host.
I'm Matt Edland.
Matthew Edland.
That's right. And we're about to get back into it.
Let's jump into it, bro. I want to talk about the job market, bro.
Well, I got a lot to say about that.
Yeah, why don't you start us out?
We could go on. Man, I think without really going way too deep, too fast, I think that one of the biggest problems right now in the industry is a lack of effort. For me, personally, that's what I see. Because you always hear about these people talking about, like on TikTok, I see all the time, like how to break into tech sales or how to get in this kind of sales or that kind of sales, and people are making crazy money off these videos that people watch, and they build this content around people like not knowing what to do. Like, dude, it's called Indeed. That's it. That's really all it is. Yeah. Build your Indeed profile, bro. I promise you, recruiters will hit you up.
Shout out to Indeed, by the way. They're not sponsoring us yet, but
big shout out. Oh, they're coming.
Maybe one day.
They're on the way.
But no, you're right. What's funny is we do a lot of our hiring through Indeed too.
Yeah.
People it's real people that want real opportunity. It's not just, I feel like, because there's different aspects to this. We'll get into several points, but what I feel is that social media has pushed upon the average, let's call it like fresh out of college. And if you're not going to be a doctor, going to be a lawyer or a nurse, something that you have to get this degree for, and you know exactly where you're going with it. You got the guys and gals that either didn't go to school or they went to school and then they left. Or, in my opinion, even worse, you got guys and girls that went to school, got whatever degree they got, and they still don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
And then social media pushes all this fluff. Like you said on TikTok, jump into this, jump into that, do videos for that. It's like, dude, you can go out and get a real job.
Yeah.
You can go get a job.
It's not hard.
Like, they're there.
It's really not hard.
And what I want to talk about a little bit is what you brought up to me the other day. In your space with getting a job, right? I know in our first episode, you mentioned, a little job hopping, figuring out things you wanted to get done. I always joke about the fact that you know like a little bit about a lot. Yeah. But it's funny because he actually knows like more than a little bit about a lot. But when it came to you finding the job that you're currently in, like what did that look like? You mentioned Indeed just a minute ago. Excuse me. Goodness. What did that process look like for you? Was it difficult? Did you have to look up videos on how to do it? Did you go the old school route, just throw out a resume? Like what was that? Did you use LinkedIn? I know a lot of people talk about LinkedIn a whole lot. What was that process for you?
Yeah. I mean, realistically, it really was just throwing out resumes. Like I feel like it goes forward with anything. The more repetition, the better that you get at it. So for me, I saw an industry that I wanted to be in, right? The tech space. I saw, the whole Silicon Valley dream and, all these 20-year-olds getting stupid rich off tech sales and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, all right, well, I've always wanted to be in tech sales. Let me try this.
You don't know shit about tech either.
I didn't know nothing, dude. Nothing.
You told me about tech sales after you exited the insurance industry, and I'm like, tech sales?
Yeah.
Why?
Had no clue. I saw the industry and I was like, man, this is something that's always going to be growing, right? Because you look around and everything's got some form of tech in it. So I'm like, all right, if I can get involved in this industry, I don't really have to worry about it dying out, or I don't got to worry about things switching or whatever. It's just a more stable industry.
Tech is everything.
Tech is everything.
And I think for myself, when you brought up the fact of getting into tech sales, the first thought I had was like sales. I was like, what do you mean? And it's obvious. People invent tech, they license it, they do whatever they do with it, and then they sell it.
Yeah, they sell it to large companies. Businesses.
That like went way over my head.
Yeah.
I never thought about the space. I never Googled anything about it. I mean, you dived into that and you learned a lot about it, but I just want to mention, like, I mean, maybe I'm just one of those people that's just stupid, but I just did not think about the sales aspect of tech. When you said tech, I'm thinking, bro, you don't know anything about tech. What are you going to create some tech? Like, no, you just got to sell it.
Yeah, right. I'm just going to sell like internet or something. But no,
I wish I could sell the internet.
God, I'd be loaded.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me, and this is like goes to anybody across the board, the two best things that you can do, especially if you want to break into the tech industry or any industry, one, Indeed. Go to Indeed.
Yeah.
Start an Indeed profile, right? Build it up, put some kind of content, even if you're just reposting. What I personally did is I went and found the top 10 biggest tech companies like Google, Facebook, Indeed itself, Fiverr, other just random companies like this, right? That were even somewhat revolved in a space that I wanted to be in, like tech sales. And I went and followed all of the CEOs, right? Because the CEOs always post good content. Yeah. So that way I didn't have to, because you always hear about these people that are like, oh, you got to post 3 times a day and you got to do this and this and this to break into these industries or whatever. So I saw that as like, okay, that's a lot of work. There's probably a simple way to do this. And so I went and followed all these CEOs, and every day when they would drop knowledge, I would just repost their knowledge so that it looks like I'm regurgitating or I'm reposting somebody. So it's like, oh, I'm smart like this guy because he did this long form, crazy copy. And I'm just like, all right, repost. So once I had that built up, I put a good Indeed profile picture, right? Not some, I was like in my suit, good picture, whatever. And then I went to this amazing site that could probably change people's lives called Canva. Canva has resume templates, pre-done, beautiful, right? All you got to do is input your information. So I went up there, put a nice little profile picture. That's a pro tip. Profile pictures in your resume do wonders. Yeah. And then built out my portfolio, right? Put all my sales experience, reworded everything so that it sounded way smarter, right? Like if you ever saw that episode of The Office, when Daryl does his resume and gives it to that new boss, and she's like, transported 3.5 million pieces of paper. And he's like, paper products.
Or what's the you see the meme or the GIF like where it talks about the DoorDash employee? Yeah, he says like
Dache or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
executive food concierge.
Yeah, executive food concierge. That's where for Dache. It's like, you mean DoorDash?
Yeah, exactly right. And it's not lying. It's just it's rewording to make it seem like
you got to stand out.
Yeah, you got to do. I can't just be like, oh, I worked in car sales for 2 years and I did good sales, and then I did this sales and I was also good. Yeah. Like, no, it's about
you've had the wildest resumes.
Oh my God, bro!
I've seen too.
I've had the weirdest job history.
And ever. I'll be honest, but I didn't always think it was going to play to the way you wanted it to play. I was like, dude, I don't know what I would think if I saw this resume, but what most people that saw your resume probably thought the same, but they still called you.
Yeah.
They don't know what to think. So they're like, well, I got to call this dude because I don't know what to think.
Exactly.
Like I got to test this out.
That was the number one question I got in interviews was, hey, quick question about your job experience. That's how it started every single time, right? Yeah. Because it would be like car sales, insurance, roofing, pool sales. I've sold in damn near all the most popular industries. I've fucking sold in them. Yeah. Every single one. And it wasn't intentional either. It was just, I was just chasing where the money went, right? So, and everybody probably thought like that. Like even my dad was like, hey man, you got to like chill out for a second. Like, I know you don't like your job, but you can't just bounce after 3 months because your commission check wasn't what you thought it was going to be.
Sure.
But I was like, nah, I'm going to do this, right? And so come to find out that this is actually like a professional career. People call it job hopping, right? I didn't even know this at the time, but I'm sitting here bouncing around from position to position. And it wasn't like, necessarily I'm like, all right, F this, I'm going to go find another job. I just had a really good profile on Indeed. So constantly I'm getting 15, 30 messages a day from recruiters talking about, 300,000 OTE and this and that, and we'll have this and this. And so I'm like, all right, screw it. So I just started doing interviews constantly. And like, you remember that time, dude, I was doing 6-7 interviews a day in between a full-time selling schedule just to see what was out there. And then things started coming back. I started getting all these crazy offers, and then landed my first job in the tech space as an SDR. Used that in a month to convert.
Hold on, for everybody that doesn't know, what is an SDR? I have a good idea because I didn't know what the hell that meant either. So
basically, an SDR is like, you're like the entry-level bitch in sales. Like,
got it.
You're a sales development representative, and I don't mean to say it derogatory.
That's a cute way to put it, right? Just like the resume, make it sound nicer than it is.
If you're an SDR, more power to you, man. That's a perfect place.
But use this knowledge to jump from that, and unless you're comfortable in that space, use what he's laying down to jump to the next level.
Facts. So all I did was got into an SDR, got really good at an SDR. Right, I was setting crazy appointments. Use that knowledge to then transfer into an AE position, which is an account executive. So in the tech sales space, that's where you're actually selling the products, right? Okay. So before I'm setting appointments for people that would sell the products, digital products,
and you're learning the platform too.
Exactly.
This is an entirely new space for you, right?
Yeah.
So knowing the platform to jump to any other space or any other level in that space is probably pretty crucial.
Yeah. And tech sales specifically, they promote and they hire, and the turnover rate is very high, mainly just because.
Oh shit. Look what you're doing.
Exactly. So the turnover rate's really high, not just because of me, but because typically the products are such a fire and then water. Like you're hot and then you're not kind of thing, especially in the tech world, right? So especially when it comes to startups and all these different series funded companies or whatever, they come out with some crazy product. It's hot for 6 months and then it's not for 10 years, right? So a lot of sales guys will get in, see the fire, make a whole lot of money in that commission, and then bounce before it goes to water, right? And that's kind of what I did basically. So I used the SDR, went to an AE, used the AE, and granted, this is in a month period, right? Month and a half. I went from SDR to AE, used that AE, took that to another company and was a senior AE, right? And typically senior, they want like 3 years of experience. I had 2 months.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
But on a resume, I just know how to say stuff, right? I got really good at copy. That's in all reality.
From one of your previous jobs.
Exactly. From one of my previous jobs, I took that information, learned how to copy really well, and use that in order to write a really good resume, and then use that and my skills of already selling and being able to sell myself. Because in reality, everybody sales is just selling yourself. That's really all it is.
Sure.
At the end of the day, a product is a product, but you as a person is really what's going to make the difference between you being broke and you being rich. That's really it.
Yeah.
So I used that and went to a senior AE.
That's fine,
and then,
by the way. Say that one more time.
Say what?
Between the product and you're either going to be broke or rich based off of you.
Yeah, exactly. So a product is a product, but you as a person is the one that's selling. So if you get good at selling yourself, you're either going to be broke or you're going to be rich.
Yeah. It's good.
Facts.
It's good.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. No, but and then use the senior AE position to get into the position that I'm now. And man, I couldn't be happier with the position that I'm at, with the company that I'm at, and no plans of leaving anytime soon. But hey, you know what? It's something, man. I'm just kidding. No, shout out to my boss. If you're watching this, I promise I'm not leaving. I'm staying right with you. I love this company. But yeah, and so back to the kind of original topic here. I think that the thing is that it's so easy to do it, but a lot of people try to overthink the process, right? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I had a lot of interviews, but at the end of the day, the number one thing that, especially if you're a person interviewing for any kind of sales job, is you have to understand mentally that they need you just as much as you need them. And so many times I feel like people go into these interviews with their head, in between their legs, and they're like, man, I hope yes, I did very good in sales, and I will work overtime. Dude, I went in dick swinging. What's up? Yeah, I might be interested. I don't know. What's the OTE? Not like I'm not an asshole about it, but at the end of the day, I'm a sales professional. I have the skills that you are trying to hire to solve a problem that you have,
which is magnifying the knowledge of what you know.
Facts,
right? I mean, if you put what you know, what you understand that you've gone through, as soon as you can put those two and two together, and you can like show that to somebody, alongside with just at least a little bit of confidence, right? Don't be overconfident, but at least a little bit of confidence. It's game over.
The employers don't know what to do because they're so used to the average person that comes in that's just begging, like, can I please have this job? And they're like, I don't know. We'll give you the lowest salary that we have.
Right.
That's another huge tip. Most people don't understand this. The salary that they give you is not the salary that they have allotted for that position. That's the lowest that they're willing to offer. People lost sight of this because a salary, all that is to pay you to give up on your dreams. Right? That's the time that they're paying, saying, hey, if you give me this amount of time out of your life every year, I will pay you this amount of money, right? So a lot of people go into this and they think, well, man, if I could just get, for me, I need $80,000 a year. If I could get $80,000 in tech sales, dude, that'd be sweet. And the job posting says starting. That's what a lot of people don't see. They don't see that word, starting salary, $80,000.
Right.
I never went into an interview and went, yeah, I'll take $80,000. I went in and I said, hey, I saw the $80,000. Is that with stock options? No. Oh, it's not. Okay. What's the sign-on bonus? Oh, there's no sign-on bonus. Oh, okay. I'm thinking more like 110, right? And they'd be like, oh, dude, no, what? The starting salary is $80,000. Well, that's great, but I'm not a starting sales guy. I don't know if you know that. Look at my resume. Right. Not starting.
There you go.
I've been in this.
That's
right?
good. That's good.
Not
so
starting.
many people don't think that way. Exactly. You're so right. I mean, it also, when you're moving from company to company, I think something like doesn't click or clicks in our brain where they think because they're moving to another company. And this, let me back up. It depends on the space that you're in and the age category you're in too. So I think if you're like a 45-year-old, president of some company, and then, you're applying or you got a headhunter that wants you to move over to company B as the CEO or the CFO or whatever. And this is just me going off, little bit of knowledge that I know. I'm not trying to say I know more than the average 45-year-old or their situations either. But when that happens, it's like, okay, obviously I'm going to go make more money at this other company.
Yeah.
But when you're in like your 20s, and what Matt's doing, he's jumping from this industry to that industry, from this job to that job, or this level within the industry. I think what a lot of other people will do is they default the thought process of switching companies maybe that soon or that early, or they feel like they don't have enough experience, or they're not some super high level exec yet, is that they think that they need to take either the same amount of salary they were already making, excuse me, or, and this is worse, or because they're switching companies or jumping boat,
they got to take less.
Go down.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that doesn't mean that.
No.
You could job hop whatever you need to do and switch things up, and there's no reason why you should go down.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
You can go up, and that's what you did. All those jumps you made in the last, at least I know for the last 12 months, they were always increases.
Always.
Right?
Always.
Something else I want to add to this topic, it's a little far off, but not as much, is I was listening to a podcast actually on the way up here, right? And they were talking about dreams and dreamers and the difference between a dreamer and a dream doer, right? So what I think happens a lot of times where in the job market is that we have candidates that are dreamers. And like you said before, the salary is an amount of money that the employer is going to pay you to suppress your dreams.
Yeah.
Right. So in a lot of situations, that's true. In some situations, it can change for the person that has that dream. So if they're dreaming about something and they're not doing anything about it, then sure, go get the job that's going to give you the salary. But you need to understand that that dream can be fluid, right? Like I think that's why a lot of people will take a lower pay or lower salary or pay cut or whatever, because they think their dream is like cut, like it's gone. Like, no, dude, you can be a dream doer in the role of whatever that job they're providing you that salary. Yeah. You can use it as a vehicle to jumpstart whatever that dream might be later. You can use it as a knowledge vehicle so you can start learning aspects of different things. If someone said, I want to go into the tech space and I want to eventually own my own tech company, and I'm just going to say tech company because that's the deepest I want to go with that. I don't know past that. It might not be stupid to go get a really good job in the tech world. Yeah. Right? I don't think that's dumb at all.
They're paying you to then learn their industry.
100%. Like you're literally going to college, not just for free. They're paying you to learn the entire industry. Yeah. They're giving you product knowledge. They're giving you system knowledge, and what I think the biggest difference with the person that decides to do it that way, or the average Joe that just says, fuck my dreams, I'm just going to go get a job, whatever. Yeah. Is someone that, which I think, and I heard this in the podcast, I very much agree with this, is that the major difference between dream doers, or wishful thinkers is what you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Facts.
That can apply to the entrepreneur. That can apply to the person that goes and gets a salary paying job. It can apply to the person getting a salary paid job to then jumpstart their life into entrepreneurship. I mean, I'm not saying that every entrepreneur had a job at one point. There's probably a good handful that just never even had a job. They just went in, but not everyone's like that. Yeah. I'm not like that. I've had several paying jobs.
Just because they did it doesn't mean that you need to follow the same footsteps.
100%. You need to figure out what's good for you and what track that you believe you can follow the best, because it all goes back to the blueprint. And with a blueprint, it's different for every, track for a person or industry. But I've in the past 18 months, I've heavily adopted the term of follow the blueprint, right? That terminology is so powerful, because whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a, salaried employee, whether you're a track star, if you've got someone to watch or a track to follow, and you follow that blueprint, success is not inevitable, but it's highly possible, because you're following literally someone's footsteps on what they did. And so it's like, all right, if I decide I want to be able to get into this space, but I need to understand the space first, find someone that did the same deal, use that person, jump into the tech space, learn the systems, learn the knowledge, blah, 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 blah. And then who knows? Yeah. Who knows? And I think that we just like blindly go like, oh, I need a job.
Yeah.
You go find a job. Like, no, dude, put a freaking pen to paper and lay out your blueprint.
I think
whatever's going to work best for you.
I think a lot of people just, and kind of going back to that point you just said, but I think a lot of people, especially whenever they want to break into a new industry, they're not willing to take a step down in order to take a leap forward, right? So, like, whenever I got into being an SDR, like that starting salary was like 40 grand a year. I had just came off making $10,000 a month. That was a big fucking leap, right?
Yeah.
That was a lot of unpaid bills for a minute, right? I mean, but at the same time, I knew that this was an industry that I wanted to be in, and I knew that I could get through it at a rapid pace because, one, I just have a level of confidence that maybe a lot of people don't have or need to have. Not in the sense of like, oh, I'm the best sales guy. I'm not the best sales guy.
No, like I said earlier, just taking the knowledge you brought in, you're pushing it forward to your brain. So you remember and you know, actually, I do know this shit.
Yeah.
I did learn this.
Yeah.
I did make these sales. I actually am pretty good at learning stuff and executing it at a fast clip.
Exactly.
Right? You didn't just do something and go, oh, well, you know, I sold some cars. And
I sold like 2 cars, and then I could probably, hell no,
take
man.
what you've done and push it up.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I did all this. I've learned this, or I know a guy that did this. I had this mentor that taught me this. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Make yourself look freaking dope because you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's literally just about, and I'll tell you, I'm willing to bet whenever I went from SDR to AE, the only reason I got that role was strictly out of confidence. Because that was the first question I walked in. Hey, I got a question about your resume, right? And they were like, I see you were here for like 2 months. Yeah, I was. Okay, so why are you leaving so fast? Oh man, I got a better opportunity over here, right? I mean, you have a better opportunity. I'm trying to advance in my sales career. I've got all the experience.
Like that's a test. It's a test question.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you can provide more than that other company, right?
Exactly.
You're better than them, right?
Exactly.
Psychological. Right? Man, I like that shit. That was good.
That's the thing.
I didn't know you said that.
It's the confidence that you come into it because so many times, just like I said, people walk into these interviews, hands between their knees. They're not going, okay, look, at the end of the day, the company has a problem that they have to get solved. In this case, their problem is that they need more sales. So they put out a job opening saying, we need help. I responded to that job opening saying, I can help. Yeah. Here's my resume. Here's the qualifications that I've built over the last 10 years of my sales career that says I know what I'm doing and I can do this job very well.
I love it. That's cool. All right. I want to talk about in other terms of the job market, right? Mm-hmm. I want to talk about people that work from home versus people that don't. And what the last 24 months looked like. Well, let's not even go that far out. Let's just say the last like 12 months.
Yeah.
Last like 12 months of that market. Because you work from home.
Oh.
Right? So you work from home.
Yep.
I work from home-ish. I kind of got tired of working from home, so I went out and got an office actually. But I can work from home.
Yeah.
Right? I want to talk about the psychological process behind it. Like, why does someone want to work from home? Does it work for you? Why it might not work for some other people? Why a lot of companies are allowing a lot of their employees to work from home? What do you think?
Yeah, I think for me personally, and I feel like I say that a lot on this podcast, for me personally, but for me, working from home.
Did I do it? Yeah,
there you go. For me, it was the greatest thing that could have ever happened because, and I think it comes to a level of like, it's not confidence. It's not the word I'm trying to think. Comfortability, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, I always wanted that super badass home office. I would see guys that were like gamers or something like that on TikTok, and they had these crazy offices that just look like vibes. And I was like, man, I just want that, right? Like, I want that in my house. Like, that was a massive goal that I got to check off. And the sole fact of working from home, it can work for everybody. It's just a matter of like if you have the dedication to actually do your job. And that comes back to if you actually want your job. Yeah. If you don't want your job, go get another one. Yeah. There is no shortage.
And maybe not work from home. Because I do know some people that work from home.
They maybe can't.
They kind of like their job. They're okay. And they're not always complaining, but they'll just be like, dude, like, oh my God, I get so distracted and this and that. It's like for myself, I freaking love what I do. Yeah. But I just found myself bored. Like in my office, I was like, I had to walk around my house. I would take calls like walking up and down between my office and the living room. And I would take my dog on walks, take conference calls, whatever, which was fine. Like it worked. And I still do it sometimes. I'm not in the office all the time. But I was like, dude, I got to get up and get dressed and get out of my house. Like,
Yeah.
I just need to be like that. I just need to be able to have that if I wanted to do it. So it does help. Plus, I have people meet up with me.
And that's why WeWork is a large company.
There you go.
For that exact reason.
So I use a company similar to WeWork that provides the same type of stuff. And so I have an office I can go into, blah, blah, blah. But I think what's really important for the at-home workers, like you mentioned, is that you have to have the desire for your job. Otherwise, I just don't think it's going to work.
I think that's a huge part of it. I think the other huge part is being comfortable in your own space, right? Like I see so many people that like work from home, even in my own company, right? And they're like working on like a stand-up desk in their kitchen. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like if it's not like saying like, oh, you don't have the space for a home office. Like it's nothing like that, but it's just more like whatever space you have, like make it comfortable for you. That was one thing that I did. Like my office is not large. It's actually pretty damn small, right? Yeah. Like it's small. But at the same time,
finesse that room though.
Exactly.
That room is dope.
Dude, I made it.
It looks like it needs to be in like a Pinterest picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
It's sick. Yeah.
I took the time because I knew for me that was something that was like important. It was like I wanted to be comfortable and I wanted it to be like not necessarily like a safe space, but in the sense of a space where I was dedicated, I was focused, and I was excited to go into every day, right? Yeah. So I've got my TV, I've got my PS5 for breaks, I've got the standing desk and the large monitor and the lights everywhere. And every time I walk in the office every morning, I'm like, oh, let's get to work. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a huge critical piece is that like a lot of these people that are like, oh, I don't like working from home. And you're like, well, show me your space. And it's like a folding chair from outside in the corner and you're working on your stovetop with your laptop.
Nobody
it's like,
wants to do that.
Dude, what? No, of course you want to go back in the office. And I think outside of that, from the employer side, I think that work from home is going to be, even outside of the whole COVID stuff, I think even outside of that, work from home is going to be more prevalent because you got to think about these large companies, right, with these 40, 50,000 square foot offices, when their AC bill is $15,000 a month, and all of a sudden they had to shut down and send everybody home. Yeah. And all of a sudden they're going, hey, man, we got an extra like $70,000 a month in this budget. What happened? Oh, I know what happened. You don't have an office no more.
Yeah.
Right. And these companies are going to go, all right, that's $70K. We could probably allocate to a couple other things.
A lot of them did that.
Exactly. And they're going to stay that way.
Some don't like it, but I think it depends on probably the industry and then just the way that their standard operating procedures might have been previously.
True.
Because I mean,
there's some that you just can't work from home. Like it's just not possible.
My biggest thing is let's talk about like sales working from home. So you're in sales, you work from home. Excellent. You got other people. I think that when they first step into sales, they need a lot of motivation. Right.
Got to be an office.
So let's talk about like a sales floor, right? So like, let's say you work in a call center, or maybe we don't call it a call center, but let's call it just a normal standard operating floor with sales guys at a desk on the computers on the phone. The guy to my right and the guy to my left motivate me to sell more. Then you got the floor manager walking around, helping out, talking to you, making sure you're doing your job. And the new guy, maybe the guy in the first 6 months of his role, might be like, looking around, like, what's he doing? What's that guy doing? Did I make the last sale? How many more calls do I have to make till I can hit the next sale? Blah, blah, blah. And those guys might need, like I said, more motivation. And if that person is sitting at home in their home office, especially if they haven't done what you just mentioned, make that space your own, that guy's going to suck. Yeah. Like more times than not. Not saying everyone would, but more times than not, statistically, they're not going to do well. Yeah, motivation dies very rapidly. By yourself. Very rapidly. Dude, I've been driving at one point and you called me one day, you're like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, driving? Yeah. I was like, what are you doing? You're like, nah, I don't know. I was like, aren't you working? You're like, not right now. Yeah. You just like lost. I mean, you just lost all motivation. Yeah. And so when you're at home, there's products and or not products, but applications, people use like Slack, to communicate with the team. And my company uses that. We communicate with pretty much everybody through Slack, which is great, but it's not the same as the, body on body and people talking. And that guy's right there. And like, let's go get lunch real quick. And then we'll talk about all this and come back and be super hype and blah, blah, blah. So I think that what someone needs to find out, and what I realized for myself too, I would get bored. Yeah. So like at the end of getting bored, it was a lot to motivate myself to get back into the groove. I was like, oh my God, all right. I had lunch. I got bored. I sat on the couch. I feel fat now. What do I want to do? Yeah. You got to work. But I told myself, like, dude, I need to be able to get into an office. So like, if I get into that board mode, or I feel like a day, you know, this day is not really working for me. If I get in the office, and by the way, some of the other companies I work with in my office are like super crazy, high class, like super high revenue, like insane companies. So all those people motivate me a lot.
Yeah.
You know, people look good, they dress good. I'm like, dude, that guy went to the gym. There's a gym on the second floor below our office. People work out, they come back to the office. It's very highly motivating. So I think what's important is for someone to quickly identify like what kind of person are you? What kind of worker are you? What kind of motivation, self-motivator are you? Because if you don't have every single quality to really operate at a high pay, or a fast clip at home, then you got to get your ass into an office.
Got to.
If you're an entrepreneur, you own your own business, cool. Go rent an office.
Yeah, right? And a lot of these
work at a company that lets you work at home, maybe ask if you can come in the office, or if they don't have an office, maybe it's not the company for you.
Well, even outside of that, a lot of these companies, like from when I was first starting out in the tech world, they gave that as an option. Do you want to work from home, or do you want to WeWork, or do you want both? Like they allocate funds specifically for those
because they want
people.
you to operate at a high, so the freaking word I'm trying to like come up with.
High level.
Jesus,
there
that's the freaking word.
Oh yeah, that's the freaking word,
that's
man.
The freaking word.
Listen,
that won't get old.
No.
But you're right. So they want to put, I mean, your company just did that. You're hiring a bunch of new people like weekly right now in different spaces, but a lot of it in DFW, which is where we're based, right? North Dallas. And they gave the option. And I think what they did, you mentioned it to me the other day, is they're taking brand new guys and they're putting them in. They're like, you don't have an option. Like, you gotta
90 days.
90 days. Because they want to get that, they want to figure that out for that person. That gives that person time to figure it out. Because let's say you've never worked from home and you want to go into sales, you start working at home. You kind of don't know if you suck or not.
Yeah.
Because you haven't done it yet.
Exactly. You got to have somebody right there to help you.
You're right. That's important. So I like that.
Huge.
Yeah.
Hugely important. And like it really comes down to my mind just went blank. It really comes down to like you said, how you think that you are as a person, right? If you know that every time you're at home, you never get anything done, you never do the dishes, you never clean up because you're just lazy or you're tired or you don't feel like it or your laundry always stacks up, you're probably not going to be a good work from home person. I can't stand clutter. Like every time before I leave my office, I like look around, I like vacuum, everything's picked up. I'm ready for the next day so that I can come in and crush it. So it's really bro. Dude, I always crush it.
Freaking crush it.
But yeah, man, I think that both of those were great topics to kind of to touch on.
Dope.
And if everybody ever needs any work from home tips, follow us on Instagram, shoot us a DM. We got you.
Facts, dude.
Here to help out at any chance we get. That's just all we do over here at the All Facts Podcast. You know what I mean? We're here to just spit facts.
All day.
Sometimes. All right,
guys. Thanks for hanging with us. We like we said last episode, we want to try to keep these to about 35 minutes or so.
We might go over sometimes.
We might. I think next time
we got guests.
Dude, yeah.
We got guests.
We mentioned we're gonna have guests. So we're gonna have our first guest on the next episode. We're so excited for this dude.
This dude's gonna kill it. Yeah.
Good buddy of ours. Doing a lot of cool stuff in the professional world, in the I'll give you a tiny hint. He's doing a lot of work in the mental health awareness world. Really just impressive guy.
Killer dude.
So that's going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to have to use a
stay tuned.
different studio this
we're going to be set up real good. Yeah. Stay tuned. Check in. Follow us.
Appreciate
Check out the podcast. Share it. You know what to do. Man,
we out.
We out.